Hey guys, this is Joel from the Fincastle Pokemon Gym. I had such a good time messing around with the Teal Mask Ogerpon EX Weirdeer V deck that I posted a couple of weeks ago, that I was thinking of other uses for Ogerpon outside of the meta, of course, and not really thinking about Raging Bolt. Like I always say, a good card is always good, you just have to find the right place for it. I think I found another good place for it, and that place is with Toedscruel EX. This weird little land version of Toedscruel from Gen 1 was introduced with Scarlet and Violet. I've talked with several people that don't like the character. Can't say that I did either until I played the video game and saw the little Toedscruels running around like little chickens in the wild. I thought that was kind of funny. So he grew on me pretty quickly. As far as the card goes, Toedscruel EX has been looking for a home. And let's check out the card first. Toedscruel EX is a Stage 1. A grass type with 270 HP. He is weak to fire, has no resistance, and a 2 energy retreat cost. His ability and attacks are both pretty amazing. The ability, Protective Mycelium, don't know if I'm saying that right, prevents all effects of your opponent's attacks done to any of your Pokemon that have energy attached. And think about that for a second. That's Sableye from Lost Box, the extra 6 damage counters from Dragapult EX, the extra prize card that Iron Hands EX takes with knockout from his second attack, anything that burns, confuses, or poisons as an effect of an attack, and even the frenzied gouging attack from Roaring Moon EX. And that's a lot of stuff, and those are just from the major format decks. There's other things it prevents as well. Toedscruel EX's attack, Colony Rush, is also very good. Colony Rush does 80 damage plus 40 more for each of your bench Pokemon that have grass energy attached. All told, he can hit 280 damage for just the 2 energy, but it's not that easy to set up. Past attempts have revolved around Cherrim from Battle Styles that could effectively rain dance grass energies, but it had to be 2 guys without rule boxes, which wasn't that hard to play around, as you would just do it before you evolved. This is a sample of the old list I used at that time, and as you can see there was a lot of small, low HP Pokemon and a lot of ways to get them out. But we're not going to look at that one, that deck's already rotated. The newer version I'm getting ready to show you is much easier to get going. As I bring up this list, I want to remind you that I'm showing you my most recent version of this deck, and some of the gameplay I've recorded is of this deck as I worked out the final count and inclusion of a few cards. So all of the footage may not match up with this list, but this is the list as of right here and right now. I started out with bench protectors like Jirachi and Manaphy, then switched to a Rapscaline, but they all seemed to just junk things up, so I just got rid of all of them. I also started like everyone does with Radiant Greninja, but evolved to what you see now. We got a full line of Toedscruel and Ogerpon EX. Then I added Bombirdier and Venusaur. Let's look at Bombirdier first. Bombirdier EX is a nice option, as on your first turn you can attack with Fast Carrier, which is basically Call for Family, except you get 3. Most of the time that's only 2 Pokemon onto the bench. And just to emphasize that again, in case you missed it, you can use it even if you go first, which is pretty awesome. I still don't have the balance of Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, and Bug Set 100% the way I like it, and Bombirdier seems to complement it nicely. I'm not sold on him enough to add more than 1 for now, but that is definitely something to consider in this and probably in a lot of other decks, honestly. He's not completely useless after that either, as you can attack for 130 and just return him and the energy to your hand, which then you can reuse with Ogerpon. I think he's a little bit better than most people think. And with the Radiance, I went with Venusaur because you already have decent draw power with Ogerpon, but that hand refresh at the end of your turn is surprisingly helpful. And with Gardenia's Vigor, you can charge him and attack with him if the situation calls for it. The other notable card here is the regular Toedscruel. His ability, Slimy Mold Colony, which again is another interesting translation from the English Pokemon Company. I have no idea what it originally meant in Japanese, but anyway. It blocks your opponent from putting any card from their discard pile into their hand, from either one of their trainer cards or one of their abilities. And this absolutely wrecks the Chien-Pao matchup. It blocks Superior Energy Retrieval, Regular Energy Retrieval, and Pokestop, which are pretty much the things that drive Chien-Pao. What's funny and what causes confusion in TCG Live, which is something they did technically get correct but probably could execute a little bit better, is that you can still play those cards, and it kind of looks like they work, as even you get to select the energy that you want with energy retrieval, but then when you hit done, they just stay in the discard pile and you get nothing. And you'll be able to see that in one of my games that I think players are kind of confused by the way that plays out. And they're right, at least, in that you can play the card to thin it from your hand or other things from your hand, but it still does nothing. I don't have a comprehensive list of everything that Slimy Mold Colony blocks, but it's only cards that would go into your hand. So it doesn't stop like Lugia V-Star from putting Archeops to play or anything like that. He's definitely a tricky little shroom and provides still another attacker against things like Mimikyu or even Baby Roaring Moon, so I like the inclusion of him in this deck. There's not too much else here that's not self-explanatory, and as always, if you ever have any questions watching these videos, ask in the comments and I'll be glad to explain something that I skip here. Cypher Maniac pairs nicely with the Ogerpon's draw ability. Just make sure that you consider the order of what you pick so that you maximize the use of Cypher Maniac. Ogerpon only lets you draw one card, so just make sure you think that through. As far as the ace specs go, I went with Hero's Cape here. Maximum Belt is an option, probably a better one for the Dragapult EX matchup, but I think for everything else that I've played, it seems like Cape is better. So that's kind of a toss-up on what you think you're going to play against or what your local meta is. I also added one practice studio in case you need to bump a stadium. It also helps against some of the ancient attackers that hit 290 HP with a capsule. Toedscruel's attack stops at 280. That extra 10 damage gets you to that 290. So that's a neat little trick there. Well, that's a pretty good look at the list here. Let's get into some gameplay and be able to see more of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to skip over the standard setup terms. I went first, took a prize off of their mana fee that they left active. They got a second turn by Excalibur. Were able to get 4 energy down, so they bossed my Ogerpon EX with 3 energy and knocked it out. I had a Toedscruel ready, sent him up. A Super Rod back in, those 2 energy and that Ogerpon, so definitely want to get him back on the field. Gardenia's Vigor, and get 2 to the 1 Ogerpon EX. I should have just kept one of those in my hand so I could use it to draw with, but did not. I went ahead and hit for 160 with Colony Rush. I do have the Toedscruel down. They were only able to get 2 energy down, hit me for 120. I'm going to use Cypher's Maniac and get the Venusaur and a Vessel ready. Got the Toedscruel down. It's just going to stop anything else this deck can really do from here. Finished off that Chen-Pal, get 2 prizes off of that. This is kind of where you enter into the land of confusion for them. I don't think they realize what Toedscruel does with his ability. They use a Irida, get Chen-Pal and Superior Energy Retrieval, play that, toss a little bit of the Excalibur line, and I cut out a lot of time here. They sat there trying to figure out, I guess, why they couldn't get the energy back out. Draw a couple more with B-Barrel. They just Super Rod some of their energy back in. I think they Super Rod 3 back in here. And again, they sat there for a while, did a lot of the angry emoji things, because I think they thought the game was glitching. They passed back to me. I got my Venusaur. Use Ogerpon's ability to attach and draw. Go ahead and use the catching set. I only get another grass energy there. It'd be nice to have gotten that other Ogerpon, but missed him. Don't need the switch. I'll go ahead and get a couple more energy off Vessel. Use the other Ogerpon to draw. Gets me that Gardenia's Vigor. So I'm going to use that to attach 2 to Radiant Venusaur. Then I'll attach 1 to my hand to the bench Toedscruel. That gets me to where I can hit 240 with Colony Rush. I'll take out their Greninja. Leaves me in a pretty decent spot. I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to get enough energy to take this guy out, although 3 would get me there. And you can see at the end of the turn I get to draw with Radiant Venusaur, which again, I really like him in here. Still don't think they figured out the whole superior energy retrieval thing yet. Again, they try to play it, can't get the energy. Again, I cut out some of the time that they sat there. Use Chen-Pal to get 2 out with his ability. And they're going to do Super Cold or Rain Dance those guys down onto Chen-Pal. Not enough to knock me out. Use B-Barrel, I think, trying to draw into that one more energy that could get my Toedscruel EX if they could hit one. They don't. They're going to play down the Pokestop, which is just going to be more frustration for them. They play the Pokestop and see that they don't get the items back in hand, and finally just concede. I'm not sure they ever figured out that the baby Toedscruel was what was causing that. It kind of looked like they thought the game was glitching out on them, but that's actually what Toedscruel does. I went first in this one. Not a great start, but I think this is going to illustrate the strength of the Bombardier and the Radiant Venusaur. Just going to Ultra Ball and go ahead and get Bombardier down. Then I've got 2 energies here, so I can attach and use the ability. I'm going to use the ability off Ogerpon. Get another Gardenia's Vigor. We'll switch to the Bombardier. This will let me get 3 of these 3 basics, one of which will be the Radiant Venusaur, which will instantly allow me to use his Sunny Bloom. And with that, I get 2 more cards. Gets me back in business there. I enjoy these Ancient and Future decks because they're so aggressive, highlighted by how my opponent played through over half of his deck in his opening turn, but did not get a knockout. Back on my turn, I top draw the Toedscruel. I'm going to go ahead and use the bug catching set. Taking the 2 energies, maybe should have taken the Toedscruel, but I'm getting by okay either way there. I'm going to use Gardenia's Vigor. I'm going to attach 2 to the Toedscruel that I did just evolve. I'll use Ogerpon's ability again. Get another energy attached there and get another Vessel. Use the Vessel. Get 2 more. 16 energies in this deck, so plenty to help you get to where you need. I'll attach for my turn to that Ogerpon. And I'm just going to go ahead and use him to knock out this Koraidon because my Toedscruel is not going to hit those numbers to take care of him. So we'll take our first prize card, and from there we get another Earthen Vessel. On their turn, they whiff 2 Pokegear, obviously needing a Seta's Vitality. They miss it, so they boss back up the Bombardier and just hit it for 20. And you can see how these decks get stuck with a small hand and no way to draw out of it. Back on my turn, I draw the Stadium. Going to use Vessel, throw away a Vessel. Then we'll take those 2 energies and go ahead and use Gardenia's Vigor to get them on the Toedscruel. Which again, kind of make me wish I'd taken that Toedscruel when I had the chance. I will use Ogerpon's ability. Get a switch. We'll attach to the Bombardier, even though we're going to switch because we need grass on him as well to get our damage output up. Not going to be able to get all the way there for a knockout this turn, so we'll do 210 with Colony Rush. And then we'll end with Sunny Bloom to get some more cards back into our hand. They play down the only 2 cards they had, and then they have to use Retribution Strike for 230. Back on my turn, I got a chance to get everything fully loaded this time, so we'll go ahead and use Nest Ball. Get a Ogerpon for that 5th spot. I'm going to use Vessel and get rid of this Toedscruel. Don't need any more of them on the bench. Get 2 more grass. Getting low on the counter grass, but still in good shape there. We use Ogerpon's ability to attach 1 to him. Then I'm going to attach for my turn to the Venusaur. Now we are fully loaded. Because we are, and I can hit 290, I'm going to go ahead and boss up this Koraidon EX that is at 290, so I can get maximum use out of the damage output I have right now. It's pretty likely I'm going to lose Toedscruel on my next turn. And again, basically with no hand, they just Retribution Strike again, and finally get a knockout and get into their prize cards for the first time this game. On my turn, I top draw all the Toedscruel I need, which makes everything a little easier. I get down to Ogerpon for that 5th spot again. We'll use his ability to get grass there. That gets me back to full power again. Gonna use Super Rod. Don't really need anything else at this point, just want those energies back in, so I'm putting 3 grass back in. Get 2 of them back out with the bug catching set. And I'm going to use the first Ogerpon's ability, or it's actually the second one this turn, to draw. I'm going to go ahead and load up, keep loading up this one that we're kind of getting more energy on, because he's going to be our backup attacker at this point. I'm just going to Ultra Ball everything else out of my hand, just get rid of some stuff I don't think I really need, so that after I take this knockout with Colony Rush, Venusaur is actually only going to get me 2, as I take 2 prize cards first, then Sunny Bloom lets me get 2 more. And there comes the Sunny Bloom. I get another Vigor and a Pal Pad, so it's really couldn't ask for anything more than that. They tried to get to a Koraidon EX and get him charged, but just cannot, so they concede, and that's the game. There are obviously a few ways you can go with this list. I really like the Bombardier EX Radiant Venusaur combination. With only one Bombardier though, you're not going to use it as often. It would be pretty easy to make room for 2 more. The A specs are debatable, but I could probably make a case for 4 or 5 different ones, just depending on how you like to play. I think matchup wise, this is solid against most everything, with Gardevoir EX again probably being the worst matchup, which may make you lean more towards the maximum belt. I'm glad to see that Toedscruel EX has a second chance at the format. I think he was written off with the last rotation. The most expensive thing here is the playset of Ogerpon EX, and I would get one of those if you don't have one yet, because I think you're going to find many more ways to use those as you go along. I really enjoy making these videos. I hope you enjoy them as well. If you do, give me a like. Watch my other profiles if you haven't watched any of those yet, and subscribe if you want to be part of the Fincastle Pokemon Gym. Until next time, be not afraid. Later.